It's not a watcher state. You're not watching this movie. You are the movie. Have you ever seen the movie The Game with Michael Douglas? If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's awesome. It's from the 1990s. And essentially, this guy that he plays is some kind of wealthy investment banker, and he kind of has everything, has all the money, but has like no relationships. And he's also pretty sarcastic, cynical kind of guy.
Have you had a nice birthday?
Does Rose Kennedy have a black dress?
Sort of bored with life. And anyway, to make a long story short, he receives this invitation to something called CRS, Consumer Recreation Services.
It was the best thing that ever happened to me.
I'll call him.
And it's all mysterious. He doesn't actually know what it is, but it's an invitation to go to this location at this certain time. And so he does, and he gets tested. So he's there like all day long getting all this like huge battery of tests and psychological tests and fitness tests and just like all these things. And he's completely confused as to why he's even there. And he's getting really annoyed and so forth.
Shouldn't be long. You're almost done.
You said that 2 hours ago.
And ultimately, what's explained to him is that the game is a curated game. It's curated for each individual, and it specifically targets that which is lacking.
It's a game.
A game.
Specifically tailored for each participant.
I think, sarcastically and arrogantly, it kind of says, well, what if nothing's lacking or nothing's missing? And the guy who's talking to him just kind of laughs at him. So anyway, that's how it starts. And then essentially the movie, it like goes into all these crazy twists and turns, and they sort of deconstruct your life. And I don't want to give it away, but it's just awesome. Like, he ends up in the craziest situations, like in a shallow grave, and like all these weird things happen to him. And, he's questioning his own sanity, he's questioning everything. His relationships are really sharply challenged in his family and his history and all the things.
You want to know what it is? What it's all about?
So it's a really good movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it. So I am going to relate this to Awakening Non-Duality. And it's like this. If you are interested in living that game, if you're interested in living living a life that's curated just for you with all these crazy twists and turns that could only happen to you, actually, because of the particular conditions that appear as you and as your life and as your surroundings, then this is what this is. This is the ride of all rides, as I describe in my book. It's not all peace and bliss and rainbows. That wouldn't be the game, right? The extreme grittiness of it, the crazy twists and turns, the complete unknowability of what is even going on at times and where this whole thing is leading. That's it, right? But guess what? You see it in Technicolor. It's so vivid. It's so alive. It's so, in some sense, explosive and surprising and paradoxical. And it's not you in charge of the journey. That's really what changes significantly as we move through realization, is we let go of the reins. We have to. I think Kogan had a really great quote once. He said, at first you think you're in the driver's seat, but at some point you realize you're in the trunk. And that's exactly what it is. Not only are you in a trunk, there's a drunk driver driving the thing, and they're like off-roading and whatever. So that's the deal. I mean, does that sound like the kind of life you want to live? Is that the kind of movie you want to live? That's what this is about. It gets really crazy, like the wheels come off, and also I want to clarify something about this analogy. It's not a watcher state. You're not watching this movie. You are the movie. The whole environment is the movie. You're the textures, you are the set, you're the stage, you're the screen, you're the actors, you're the set designer, you're the lighting, you're the sound, you're all of it. You're the audience. You're also, strangely, the director, and you're also the producer, and you're also every tiny little detail in the entire environment. You're all of it. And you're also the critic, right? What's so weird about this movie is that the critic at first seems to get so much attention. In fact, most of the attention is on the critic. In fact, when we're mind identified, all there is a critic in a way. We're so identified with the critic that we're not even in the theater. We're just hearing secondhand about things that are going on, and we're hearing it from the cynical and detached voice of the movie critic, right? What is it? Those who can do, those who can't become critics, or something like that. So anyway, not to cap on movie critics, but you get the point. The critic gets so much attention when you realize that's not what's actually going on. That's just the critic's view. That's just the judgmental view of the ego. Now you're in the theater. Now it's a whole different experience. And at some point, you're not just in the audience, you're on stage. And then at some point, you're not just on stage, you're all of it, as I described. You are the actors, the movement, the stillness, the emotions in the audience. You're the emotions of those on stage. You're the director. You're the disappointment. You're the twists. You're the turns. You're the story. You're the obvious truth that there's actually no story. It's being constructed as we go along. You're all of it, right? So it really is the ultimate game, and it does have me reflect on the fact that that movie was so damn good. I love that movie, but I like movies that have some sort of an analogy to realization, awakening, and so forth. So if you want to play the ultimate game, this is it, with the cautions that I lay out. And I do lay out cautions. I really do. If you're interested, check out my book, check out the first chapter. Specifically, it's called A Word of Caution. So I give an entire first chapter to cautions. And they're not all cautions, they're disclaimers. They are just orienting principles that tell you, like, what I'm talking about isn't what you normally hear about in, spiritual circles and so forth. There's a lot of misleading stuff out there, and I like to be pretty direct and pretty honest about what you can reasonably expect to happen. So anyway, play the game. Go watch the movie too. It's awesome.